Go ahead.
All
Jump
right.
on it.
Hey guys, welcome to Whiskey, Lead, and Steel. Feelings hurt while you wait. With me today is Mike Brini with Firearms Performance Enhancements. As always, Rick Sutton, and I'm Lee Curling. So today, well, I guess I gave away what we're going to do. We're going to talk to Mike Brini with Firearms Performance Enhancements. Talk a little bit about what you're doing, what's the cool new hotness out there, what are people doing, and what you're thinking.
Yeah,
Rick?
and some of the cool stuff. So first and foremost, we've talked about how it is the aggressive defensive solutions came about. How long's Firearms Performance Enhancement been in business, and I mean, what's been the process to get you where you are today?
Well, right at about 7 years this month, and I've been very blessed in that I was allowed to work 3.5 years, 7 days a week.
Sounds like a blessing.
It was to get where I'm at, and so I'm right at about 3.5 years of full-time employment, of self-employment. And the guy that I worked for before allowed me to slowly taper off my days so I could slowly increase my time, at Firearms Performance Enhancements, and I haven't had a desire to look back.
Yeah. So what did you do before you opened Firearms Performance Enhancement, and what is it that caused you to decide to open this company?
Well, first of all, gunsmithing was not on my radar at all. That was kind of an accident, but I've got a lot of years as a machinist, as an auto mechanic. I've done virtually every aspect of auto mechanics. And so this was kind of born out of my desire to make my lesser expensive guns better, because probably like a lot of people, they don't have, $3,500 to go out and buy a Bill Wilson 1911 or whatever. So that's why I called it Firearms Performance Enhancements, is because that was my intention, was to enhance the performance of so-called lesser guns. Okay, there's a lot of great guns out there in the world, and with a few tweaks here and there, I mean, you can make them fit an individual better. You can make them perform better, run better, be more reliable. I mean, there's a whole host of things that you can do.
Nice. So realistically, then, I guess from an operational standpoint, rather than going out and dropping $2,500 on somebody's whiz-bang race gun of a 1911, and I've been fortunate enough to work around you at the shop and see this happen. So it's possible for somebody to buy a mid-grade 1911, come to you, have exactly the work they want done to it, and at the end of the day, spend considerably less money, but get, from a performance standpoint, as good a gun, or possibly even a better gun, than they would if they bought somebody's off-the-shelf thing.
That's true, and it really depends on what you start with.
Yeah.
First of all, you're going to have to start with something that has decent machining on the inside of the gun. And most people who aren't, privy to that information, they wouldn't know. They might think they could go out and buy just any off-the-shelf 1911 and make it, really something that performs really nice. Well, that's not always true.
So I couldn't make like a race gun out of a high point?
Probably not.
So what you're saying is, even though we think you're a miracle worker, there's only one miracle worker, and he's not you, right?
That is correct.
Okay.
I am his servant, but I am not him.
All right. You're good.
Right.
You're good.
I'm good by his grace. That is correct.
You're good, but we're not crossing into the miracle territory.
Definitely not.
Okay.
Definitely not.
Which is good to know, right? And I think that's...
Nobody knows everything, Lee. Nobody knows everything.
Of course. There are those people out there that go, I can turn anything into something great, but
what I would recommend that anybody and I'm really easy to find on the web, fpeguns.com, and my contact information's there, or, you could Google me or whatever.
Make sure you read the webpage.
Yeah.
Make sure you call before you show up at the shop.
Right. That's a kind of a
don't just show up.
Inside joke. What I would recommend, somebody that's looking to do this process, I would be happy to lead them down that path to prevent them from making money mistakes early on in the game because I made those money mistakes early on in the game. Just not knowing, you know. And there is the cheaper brands of guns, there's not much consistency in their manufacturing process. Whereas there are other brands that there's a lot of consistency. And those are much easier to make, you know, into something really, really nice. You know, but then again, there are systems, for example, the single action 1911, you can probably get the best competition trigger out of that versus anything. But if you're talking about a striker fire gun, you know, it has limitations in that aspect of it.
Yeah. So you got to work with what you're going to work with, obviously.
Yeah.
And again, as we've said more than one time, it comes down to mission specific operation, mission specific what's going on. So I've been privy to see some of the race guns that you've built, and then I actually carry some of the concealed carry guns that you've built. I've got my 320 Stealth that quite honestly converted me to being a striker fired carry guy.
That's a big deal. Right, go ahead.
Yeah. So that I'm not carrying a Smith & Wesson with a traditional hammer on it is kind of a big deal. Yeah, that
the
was
59 series. You're not carrying that anymore.
No, actually, I am almost exclusively carrying either a Sig 320 compact, the stealth model that you developed, or I'm carrying a 365 XL. Again, that was worked on by Firearms Performance Enhancement and runs really well. Now, those are my carry guns. I think if I were going to go back to shooting competitively, I think I might carry a traditional hammered gun, just because mechanically you can get a little faster. But I'm retired from competition for the most part, so almost all I carry anymore is SIGs. I still own a bunch of other guns, still like to shoot them. But I was shooting my 320 Stealth earlier today. That's a good gig.
Yep, and you know, I kind of like working on just about anything.
Yeah.
You know, there's always improvements you can make to anything. The biggest obstacle is the system design.
Yeah.
And, well, that's one of the biggest obstacles. And the next obstacle is the guy or the girl who, you know, has pie in the sky hopes about making this,
Yeah.
polishing this turd. Okay.
Right.
Okay.
Well, which goes to the original, right? It's you're not a miracle worker. You can't polish a turd. Well, you can.
Mythbusters proved you could.
Well, you can, but
it's still a turd. That's correct.
It's still a turd.
Well, now that said, I have said this before several times. I'm likely to say it again, and now I'm going to say it out here on the interwebs, which is, Mike can fix anything.
He has got me.
Yeah,
he got me in a more trouble.
All the time, Rick's like, "Oh yeah, Mike can fix that." I said, "What?"
Okay, so how long? So how long have I been working with you on Thursdays?
I don't know, a good while.
A good bit, at least 3 years.
Not more than that.
Yeah.
But at least 3 years. Okay, in the 3 years, how many times have I said Mike can fix that, and you didn't fix it?
Once.
That happened once? What couldn't you fix?
A shotgun.
Oh, that's right, yeah. I don't know that it's one that you couldn't fix it. It's nobody made the parts for that anymore.
Or schematics.
Yeah. So there's that.
So being able to replicate the part is
it's not just that, but this particular shotgun has a lot of parts in it.
Okay.
In the operational end of it.
Yeah.
And it wasn't working when it came to me.
So I'm going to call that a qualified. I'm going to call that a qualified not able to fix it.
I'll give you that.
Thanks for your compliments, but I don't need them.
Now, if you have a really high dollar shotgun with a really nice stock and you need it fixed, bring it to Mike, because Mike is a genius with a hacksaw. Did I tell you about that?
No. All right.
So
here comes the story.
So you're a bird shooter. You grew up being a bird shooter, right?
Yeah.
So this guy walks into this shop. Nice guy. Forget his name. Really nice guy. But he brings in this so nice a bird shooting shotgun that I don't even understand the name of it. Right?
Okay.
It's one of them really super fancy Italian.
Super fancy Italian. Beautiful wood. Stock looks like it belongs as part of a '68 XKE, right?
Mm-hmm.
So he brings it in. And he tells Mike, he says, "Yeah, I'm having a problem with shoulder and this, that." So Mike goes, "Well, come here. Let me get some measurements." So he says, "Hold the gun and let me see this." He takes some measurements. The guy's standing there talking to Mike. "Yeah, okay." So Mike takes the gun, takes the stock off the gun, takes a piece of blue tape, takes measurements, wraps it up there, wraps it all up, so sticks it in the vise, and the guy's standing there. Mike pulls the drawer open and pulls out a hacksaw. And the guy kind of looks, and Mike goes, and the guy goes like this.
I didn't see that.
I did, because I was watching. And the guy held his breath. Mike goes, Mike saws through it, pulls it off, walks over to the bandsaw, does some stuff, walks over, puts some butcher's block on there, puts it back on the gun and goes, "All right, go ahead and shoulder that." And the guy goes, "Oh my God, it's perfect." So Mike goes, "I didn't even ask. What's one of these shotguns run?" And I forget what the number was, but I think you could probably buy a late model convertible for close to it. And Mike goes, "Glad I waited till I was done to ask you that." But the guy came back. Gun runs like a champ. It's perfect. Guys brought lots of guns back. So it's
just a piece of wood to me.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
So, what is the number one functional thing that you do to guns?
Functional probably would be milling slides for an optic.
What you're about to do for me.
That is correct.
Yeah. So we're getting ready to buy a bunch of company guns, and Mike is kind of
made sure that I'm going to charge double.
Yeah. Mike is definitely charging double for us because Rick is a difficult customer. But for mine, because I think it's obvious for anybody that watches, I'm an optics guy. That guy's not.
As I am.
But so Mike is right. And actually before this, right, we actually, you came out, you brought out several optics, and
I like to go over the options with people because it's not a one-size-fits-all situation. Right. I mean, it's just like that's why there are so many different guns, and the grips are different shape, and this manufacturer uses this style of serration, and there's not everybody's different, and that's why when you go to buy a handgun, you want to go and you want to pick them all up, and you want to see, first of all, how do they fit in your hand. And when you punch the gun out, hopefully not at the salesman, you want to make sure that it's sighting good for you. That that when you're pushing out onto that target, whatever you're pointing at, and it feels good to you, and you're not having to do a bunch of this, that, and the other to make it work for you. And a lot of people don't do that. They like, this is cool, and I saw on the internet this, and that all does have its place, and, we do like cool stuff, okay, but I saw that.
It's all in what your definition of cool is.
Well, that is true, and thank God that we're all different. That he made us all different.
But a bunch of y'all are out of standards.
Well, which is true, because otherwise there'd be one car, there'd be one gun, there'd be one whatever, right? If we were all the same,
and 85% of people wouldn't be able to use them.
Right. Well, if we were all the same and all wanted the same thing, right, there'd only be one option, right? So
we would all be living in Soviet Union.
There's that.
You may have any color ZIL you want as long as it's black.
And it'll be 26 years before your car is delivered.
That's right.
All right. So what is the number one
non-performance?
The aesthetic or just non-performance enhancing thing.
That would be Cerakote. Okay. To be sure. Those are actually, I did a little investigating at the end of the year just to I use QuickBooks, and I wanted to go through just to see what my numbers were for individual things. And optics and Cerakote were my two biggest things.
Okay.
And, it's with Cerakote, man, it's from mild to wild.
Okay.
There's lots of cool stuff you can do. And the cool thing about Cerakote is it's not just an aesthetic.
Mm-hmm.
Example, Nix Industries, which is Cerakote, they boast that Cerakote is 100 times more abrasion resistant than traditional bluing.
Mm-hmm. Well, I can believe that, yep.
And heat resistance. Just your basic Cerakote is 600 degrees,
Okay.
and it's totally impervious to cleaners and chemicals and such.
Mm-hmm. So less holster wear, less.
Yes. Now it's not scratch proof. It's not any of that. But it's definitely its longevity. Okay. Right. It will never rust. You'd have to really put it in some terrible salt water situation. For it to rust.
Like that Mark 19.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
But anyway, once people hear that. That you don't have to worry about that rust anymore. They sold.
Yeah.
Right.
And in my experience, Cerakote has actually made the guns easier to clean
Definitely.
because it fills in the pores.
Right.
And then so you're able to knock that carbon and grit and crap off of it when it's scuzzy.
I just want to, yeah. Okay, so you mentioned Cerakote, and then you said mild to wild. What are some of the crazy Cerakote things people want you to do?
Got a lot of pictures in my phone. The Joker, ha 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 thing.
Yeah, because you do stencils and stuff too. Right?
Okay.
I do use a stencil company to, and he does custom stencils for me as well as his stock stuff. And I do a lot of traditional like M81 camo or woodland camo and stuff like that. Or I've done lightning bolts and put people's names in those guns that we did for Bear Swamp. We did the Bear Swamp logos on them and came up with some different names for the different level of gun that they wanted. And I mean, not everything is possible, but heck, I did a Mardi Gras Glock one time.
Well, you also didn't a guy bring, was it a Milwaukee tool?
Yep, I made one look like
it was awesome.
A Milwaukee tool.
Milwaukee tool.
White with the red Milwaukee logo. I didn't charge him for that Milwaukee logo either.
That's right.
That's good because
that would be an infringement.
Yeah, we didn't do any of that. But that was because I remember that gun being cool.
I've even done a Gucci Glock.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Didn't charge that guy either.
Now, so on that, aren't you working on a project making a Day of the Dead 1911?
No.
No, you're not. I thought we were working on
one of my
1911
one of my
llama.
employees is
A Llama 380 Day of the Dead.
Yeah,
it's gonna be badass.
It's I always seem to be too busy to work on that thing. I don't know why.
Odd how that works out.
Oh yeah.
Mike's like, well, it's the end of the day. See you later. We gonna work on that? No, I got stuff I gotta do. I'm gonna drive the Belvedere. So you got this started. So you have a lathe and a mill. Like you're turning barrel. You're not turning barrels, but you're threading barrels.
Threading barrels and chambering barrels and
and Cerakoting. You're doing all the handgun stuff, all the action jobs and everything. What's the newest project that you've got going on as you build the FPE empire?
I told you I wasn't going to build an empire. It's building me, though.
Yeah, it looks like one's getting built. I don't know if you're building it.
Through, I'll just call it God's blessing. I mean, that's all I can call it.
Yeah, that's what it is.
I had an opportunity to build some custom guns for a company who wanted to sell them at their gun club. And I was using another vendor's product as a compensator for this pistol. And it was billed as, for this gun. Made for this gun exclusively. And I got to looking at it, And, yeah, it kind of went with the lines of the gun, kind of,
Kinda.
kind of.
Mm-hmm.
But it, look, it was a good product. It was a good compensator functionally, but it just didn't have the aesthetic that I would have wanted to see. And so, as it happens, one of my customers turned out to own a CNC machine shop. And we were talking about it one day, and I held it up and I said, do you think we could make something like this, but, my designs? And he said, sure, come up with my engineer and let's get together. And that's kind of where it started. And now what has happened is I'm partnered up with a barrel manufacturer, Backup Tactical, out of Florida. And he sells a lot of threaded barrels and non-threaded barrels. And we're partnered up in this project with these, they're called Perfect Fit Pro Comps. And right now we're doing Sig P320s, full size and compact, and also the Glock 3rd and 4th gen, as well as 5th gen 9mm variants.
Nice.
That's where we're starting.
Mm-hmm.
And we're the response has been unbelievable, man, because the performance of these things, and it looks like it's part of the gun. It really looks like it's part of the gun. And I guess it kind of hit me one day is that, these customers are really particular about how their gun looks, especially the ones that want this Cerakote and that Cerakote, or, they just want things to look a specific way, kind of like hot rodders with cars, And they look at these things and go, that thing looks like it came from the factory like that. And that is what I want. I want that perfect fit pro comp look. And that's where it's going. And we've got other models planned.
Nice. Now, yeah, you've also done some internal changes though, so they don't, So, for those of you who don't know a lot about compensators, so most of your compensators, it's a piece of metal, it's got a hole drilled through it for the bullet to come through, and then there are gas ports. It screws down on the barrel, and as the bullet comes through, it directs gas. So you and I were talking about it, and you were explaining to me that, and I'm not going to get into the whole aspect of it because I don't understand it. It's a bunch of math and physics. But you, on your design, you changed something on the inside of the compensator that moves the gas more efficiently, so it actually works better. So it looks better, and it actually works better than what's typically out there that you find.
Well, anytime you are talking about compensation ports
Yeah.
with a semi-automatic weapon,
Yeah.
it's a balancing act. Because you need a certain amount of blowback to get that action to operate. And if you bleed off too much of that gas too quickly, it's not going to operate properly. You can always try to compensate with a lighter recoil spring. But then you get to that point where that recoil spring is not sufficient enough to slam it back in battery.
Yeah.
And then your shooting abilities play a part too, because if you're a limp wrister and all that, blah, blah, blah. So it just came to me one day, thank you, Lord, this port design, and it is a totally smooth, I'll call it a waterfall machining operation, and there is not a sharp edge down in this port. And once that happened, once we changed that Sig, man, went to running like a champ with with no change in the recoil spring, and the recoil dropped significantly. And I came up with another design on Glocks that even brought it down to it's a 60% reduction in recoil on Glocks, and that's been vetted.
And that's running factory stuff.
Factory ammo.
So factory springs.
Factory springs.
So you don't have to buy a barrel and a comp and a spring set.
Right.
You just buy the barrel and the comp.
Well,
right?
you don't have to. Now, I do have kind of a recommendation there.
Okay.
So a lot of people, because of expense, they're shooting 115 ball ammo for 9mm. They're running those rounds through those machines. The manufacturing process is so fast that there is an inconsistency in powder charge.
Okay.
And I mean, even if you're not running a comp,
Yeah.
every once in a while you'll see a round wouldn't go off, or it's just not, or you get a jam, or whatever. That's because of inconsistency. So I stepped up personally, and I usually run 124s now.
Okay.
It seems to be a lot more consistent of a round. And with 124s, you definitely don't have to run any kind of spring. But if somebody's going to run 115s because of the cost, I do offer a recoil tuning package for both the full size and the compact Sig. And that is probably more due to the barrel lockup design of a Sig, because it locks up better than most other guns. So consequently, it doesn't come out of battery quite as fast. So it blows off a little too much gas prematurely, and then it's kind of a delayed. So, but anyway, the Glock doesn't have that problem at all. At all. I mean, this thing is spitting them, the trajectory, the ejection path is spitting them out at 3 o'clock with 115s and a factory spring.
Nice.
With 60% recoil reduction.
Nice.
I mean, I don't know how you can.
Yeah.
Now maybe there's other comps out there. I'm sure there are good. Look, I'm not saying that mine is the greatest thing since sliced bread. Where my comp shines is not only in performance, but aesthetics. It looks like it belongs on the gun. And that's the way I've chosen to go. I mean, maybe could I sell more comps by having a universal? Maybe. But I choose to sell the ones that look like the gun.
But I think that therein lies kind of the difference.
Yeah.
You have a artist, because let's face it, while you're doing engineering and you're doing functional things, big part of what you're doing is artistry.
Yeah.
So they say.
Right.
I've never felt like much.
So they say, I know. But the aesthetics of things, and you're right. I think you keyed in on something where people are bringing you guns, especially for the non-functional piece of that, because they want their gun to look a certain way. And when you stick a just big ass square block on the front of your gun, that's ugly. For a lot of people. That's
big goiter.
Well, it's right. I mean, it's that for those people that go through the time and expense and the effort to make their gun look a certain way, to take something that doesn't look like it is part of the gun, takes away from that aesthetics.
Because you don't want to take a big square, blocky, chunky thing and put it on your Glock and make it look ugly.
Actually, Rick, if you want your Glock to look better, you put one of my pro comps on there, because it makes it look like the rhinoceros.
It does.
The rhino, baby.
Yeah, there you go. Actually, if you're concerned with the aesthetics and you have a Glock, then what you do is you bring it to Mike, we'll pull it apart, we'll clean it, we'll do an action job on it, and then you can sell it and buy a Sig.
See, I thought you were going to say you bring it in, we'll clean it, we'll replace the lower with the Wilson Combats, and we'll replace the slide, and then we'll hand you a 320.
Exactly.
That's really what I thought.
Yeah.
Where I thought you were going to go with that.
Yeah. Sig 320.
Is it? What time is it?
Everything you like about a Glock, nothing you don't like.
Well, the Glock people go, right.
Hey, I had to give Canik a break.
You did.
I did. I didn't talk about how crap.
This is all for Adrian.
That's right.
Yeah,
well, Adrian and Rick Trebwasser. Rick Trebwasser, if you're watching this, I didn't pick on Caniks today. But
and Adrian, we picked on Glocks for you.
Yeah.
So there you go.
Yeah, real Glocks, not fake Glocks like the one you carry.
Right. Which is a Glock.
I didn't say anything. I'll work on anything.
That's right.
Yeah.
Mike can fix anything.
Mike,
in truth to tell, and we had this conversation. So Mike sells a drop-in trigger kit for a Glock that, not for defensive purposes, but it makes a Glock trigger worth shooting. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
And actually something else that you may or may not know. Up at DevGru, at Damneck, they have tested and have run over 50,000 hours on that trigger.
Yeah.
With 0 failures. And now it is available to anyone at that command that would like to have one?
Oh, there are people. Not giving you, but there are organizations that are putting their teeth on your compensators too, aren't there?
Absolutely, that's correct.
Yeah, because it's a good piece of gear.
Yep, they're hopefully that they're going to be testing that there as well. They're
That's
going to
awesome.
be testing my Sig comp here pretty soon.
That's
But they really want a micro comp, you know, so that especially for their full size guns.
Mm-hmm.
So we're not adding another 1.125 inch, you know, to a 5-inch gun.
Yeah.
It's already, so that's already a big gun.
Yeah, they're
But-
carrying a Mark
but-
23.
But they don't seem to mind.
Well, because unlike a Glock, you can bludgeon somebody with that thing.
yeah, the 320 is a little bit heavier than that.
Yeah, yeah.
The Glocks.
That full size they went to, yeah, you can bludgeon somebody if you run an ammo. So.
Yeah.
But if you had a comp on there, then maybe you would have hit your target.
There you go.
Definitely quicker on target.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. When the one we brought out here and shot and monkeyed around with, I'm not a comp guy. Never have been. I'm not a comp guy. I'm not an optics guy. That said, I'm a fan of this comp. If I were still shooting competitively, I'd have one of these comps on a comp gun.
Well, I appreciate you being my test monkey.
Well, it's always good times, man. Plus, I get to ride the Belvedere. So that's always a plus.
All right.
Cool.
Any other questions?
No, I think and I'm surprised we didn't go down any more rabbit holes than we did.
We didn't.
I really appreciate y'all inviting me out.
Sure.
I
Well,
really do.
so and this is something that we want to do more often. Of, quite honestly, Mike, we've done shout-outs to you before. Quite honestly, just like the whole W3 thing, we got a strong symbiotic relationship with Firearms Performance
Certainly.
Enhancement. We certainly want to. We want you to be successful in anything we can do to help you with your success. We
I
certainly
appreciate
want to
that.
do. And we appreciate you coming in here, talking to us about this stuff that, quite honestly, you're a subject matter expert on, and we're not. And that's why we have this opportunity.
Well, anybody that would like, you're welcome to come. Give me a call first and come on out, and I'll be happy to take a look at anything you got and see if we can't make it a little better for you.
Anything else on FPE? Anything we missed that you go, this is really important. Everybody needs to know this. Or have we covered everything?
Not today.
Not today. Next time.
Yes, sir. Well,
Next
you always
time-
got to have something. You got to have
next-
people wanting something.
Well, next
for the future, right?
time when you come out,
We'll bring some stuff.
Yeah, maybe we'll have some.
we'll make sure you bring a compensator.
We'll go ahead
We
and
really want to
cover your table here.
cover the
Yeah.
table.
Cool.
All right.
Well, thanks a bunch. Thanks,
Cool.
Mike.
Thank you, Rick.
Thank you, brother.
Lee,
Yep,
appreciate
thanks.
it, buddy. Mm-hmm.
Well, that's it for today. Hope you enjoyed this. Hope you found it entertaining. And we didn't go down a lot of rabbit holes. There wasn't a lot of craziness.
You only hurt a
Listen,
few people's feelings.
It's only the Glock owners.
Well, it's
And Mike didn't hurt anybody's
Mike
feelings.
didn't hurt anybody's feelings, and I don't know.
So don't hold Rick's aversion to Glocks against Mike.
Yeah, don't do that.
I have an aversion to Glocks too, but that's a different story.
Yeah. All right. Be safe. Have fun out there. Talk to you later. All right.
Thanks for coming out.
Well, I hope that was good.
Cool.
Good cut for
I
y'all.
think it was.